What I'm asking you to do is think, don't react, because each of you have the capacity to think. And you need to think and reason because it's vital to completing that last mile of that internet autobahn I talk about, to put together the pieces of your individual needs so that you can navigate this huge detour we are making with COVID-19. Okay, folks, buckle up for a bumpy ride for this installment because we're going to hit some turbulence. It's really because it's gotten rough out there, really rough and really kind of ragged. Not to mention we're in the clouds with information overload. So why not just overload you just a wee bit more to get you out of the clouds and get you into the smooth air, which is what I'm going to try to do today. So today's blog contains a macro level overflight of the evolving COVID-19 situation. And while some of this information kind of repeats itself from previous vlogs, it's really for a reason, so stick with me. All right, so first of all, the data clearly shows we've evaded the original death projections. Even in the areas of New York and New Jersey, which by the way comprise 42% of the US death toll, the number of deaths was far below the original projections. It's great news, and I'm in no way trivializing those who have died or suffered or are suffering. What I am saying amounts to three takeaways. First, we succeeded in blunting the rapid progression, thus preventing the healthcare system from being overloaded. The actions we took to isolate made a big difference, but not the only difference, as many people would like to believe. This is exactly like thinking diet is the sole key to health or weight loss. Okay? Second, the emerging data on the estimated infection rate shows it is far more prevalent in the population than previously thought. And third, of those infected, a surprisingly high number of people are completely asymptomatic throughout the exposure, infection, and immunity cycle of this virus. Estimates are ranging overall in 20 to 30+% of the infected being asymptomatic. Some places even higher. Now, this is very important and good for you to know moving forward because it's good news. It's also good because we are developing data to help guide us. And it's good because even the bad news has a good use in the context of learning. Now, the second part here are my thoughts on how things will play out as we emerge from this limbo. So listen closely. There can be no blanket policy on a nationwide or statewide basis. This is the first thing. Loosening the current restrictions will need to be more of a community-centric and based upon a number of factors. For example, New York City and the surrounding areas represent the absolute worst scenario for a pathogen like this. Dense population, constant influx and outflow of individuals from all parts of the globe, movement based upon crowded trains, subways, and sidewalks in the months of January, February, and March with cold, overcast environmental conditions, which are ideal for the contraction and spread of the virus. Now you compare this with many communities across rural America with low population densities, little to no influx of global travelers, and where social isolation is seen as a mental health challenge rather than a challenge of physical distancing. We have open air, sunshine. For example, here's a video from Munster, Texas. You hit on the link on the blog, and a picture from Bowen, Queensland, Australia. To date, neither one of these towns has a single documented case of COVID-19. not even a suspected case. And there are literally thousands of communities across the globe which have not yet been infected with COVID-19, yet are subject to the same restrictions and economic impact. So moving forward, it'll be critical for a bottom-up rather than a top-down approach. But with that being said, each level from above needs to be completely supporting and communicating with those levels below to provide the resources necessary to be successful on a community level. Most of all, at the very bottom or base of this bottom-up approach is each and every one of us and our personal responsibility. Now, now this is really a tricky concept. The places with the least impact of COVID-19 are the ones we will have to watch the closest moving forward. As people move from urban areas with higher infection rates and move in and out of these smaller communities with low to no infection, this raises the potential for these mini outbreaks which constrain the modest healthcare resources of rural communities. This is practically inevitable, but as we move forward, learn more, and move into summer, I think the impacts of this progression, of this virus's progression, can be sharply attenuated. So just because you live in one of these places that doesn't have it yet, doesn't mean you don't have to worry as restrictions are lifted. Actually, you need to be more aware than ever. Okay, 3, partial or full herd immunity will be part of the formula. With the information and the data suggesting infection rates are much higher than originally thought, and that a far higher percentage of those infected being asymptomatic, we're already in that process and working through the herd. We need to acknowledge this, that it's already taking place so that we can continue to isolate the elderly and most at risk while finding a sustainable and manageable balance which minimizes the casualties, both physical and economic. Third, here are the other big picture items I want to address and come to terms with, because understanding them and coming to terms with them and with these realities will help us individually and collectively move forward. 1, there is no cure. As we learn and understand more about the etiology of this virus, better treatments will be developed. But there is no cure per se. A vaccine is still way off in the future, and when developed, it will not be a universal cure. So, cures, vaccines, and who should get them is a moot point at this point in time. 2, based upon the data and revised projections, society has to make the mental leap of thinking of COVID-19 as a Black Plague, Ebola, or anthrax death sentence to what it really is, a highly transmissible version of SARS virus. SARS virus, by definition, are virulent to hosts who have pulmonary challenges, like smokers, people with COPD, or they have cardiovascular disease, or are immunocompromised. But as the emerging data corroborates, this is far from a lethal virus for most healthy people. And 3, due largely to COVID-19 and the economy and chronic uncertainty in every aspect of people's lives, people are easily swayed by the ping pong of soundbite science. Once again, we need to understand this is fear in play. When people have fear, they cease to think. When people cease to think, they cease to reason, and they are ripe for manipulation. Even the most intelligent people fall prey to this, even when they actually believe They are not. Now, I'm not asking you to drink my particular flavor of Kool-Aid. I'm asking you to avoid drinking whatever flavor of political fear or stay in place for eternity, the economy be damned, or this is a hoax and we need to get our lives back, and gee, give me another swig of Lysol with a twist of Clorox. No, I'm not asking you to drink any of that. What I'm asking you to do is think rather than drink. Don't react, because each of you have the capacity to think. And you need to think and reason because it's vital to completing that last mile of that internet autobahn I talk about, to put together the pieces of your individual needs so that you can navigate this huge detour we are making with COVID-19. Not to mention navigate that road to your health and performance potential. Thanks again for listening, and thanks very much.